Good afternoon. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Zeroo Timeco T1 The Archer Tourbillon. The retail price for this piece is $3,000. On the 16th of August, Zeroo Timeco are going to be launching an Indiegogo campaign, and this watch will be available in two versions, the T1, which is the round case version you're looking at here, and also a square case version called the T2 The Archer. So the retail price will be $3,000, but in limited numbers, Zeroo Timeco are going to offer the piece at a 50% discount, which is $1,500. So firstly, let's look at the box that the watch comes in, and then I will talk you through the specifications of the piece. So as you can see, the watch box comes protected by a black cardboard outer box, and it says on the top Zeroo Timeco, Tokyo, Japan. So Zeroo Timeco have been producing watches since 2017 in Tokyo, Japan, so they are now a well-established micro brand. So one removes the lid to the cardboard box, pulls down the flap, and the watch box inside is protected by a piece of foam to protect the watch box in shipping. So I'll remove the watch box and show it to you. Now, as you can see, it's made from solid wood, Zeroo Timeco, Tokyo, Japan in gold, and we also have the brand emblem on the top, which is very aesthetically pleasing. It's a nice refreshing change from plastic or cardboard watch boxes, and bearing in mind that this is a mid-tier piece at $3,000 retail, or on Indiegogo $1,500, it's a credit to Zeroo Timeco that they have used a quality solid wooden watch box, high gloss piano lacquer finish to it, and the lid splits into two, as you can see, so very aesthetically pleasing. The watch sits on a padded pillow cushion, as one would expect, fully upholstered to a high standard with vinyl plastic, and in the base we have a tray which one removes, and that houses the owner's instruction manual. So although basic, it is concise, it does have diagrams, and it details the operation of the tourbillon movement used in the piece. So very useful read if you're unfamiliar with tourbillon movements. So very nice attention to detail, and I really like it. I think that it's a high quality solid wooden watch box and does a good job of displaying the piece. So with regards to the specification, as I've discussed, this is the T1 The Archer, which is the round case version, and Zeroo Timeco will also be making a T2 square case version of the Archer, but they will both use the same double barrel single tourbillon movement. With regards to specification, it has a 42.4mm case diameter, a 51.3mm lug-to-lug measurement, the thickness is 11.1mm, and the lug width is 21mm. Calf leather strap, alligator finish, nice glossy finish to it, and it tapers down to the deploying clasp. As you can see, it's signed with the Zeroo Timeco brand emblem to a high standard. Flawless mirror finishing, 2-button push deployant. The interior is pelage finished, and on the left hand side we have Zeroo engraved to a high standard, and on the right hand side we have Tokyo, Japan, because the watch is indeed made in Tokyo, Japan. Absolutely gorgeous pelage finishing, and it's just a very well executed 2-button push deployant clasp, good firm resistance to the springs and the 2-button push triggers. Now with regards to the case, it's made from solid 316L grade stainless steel. And the interesting feature is it is glazed throughout. As you can see, often with tourbillon watches, they have solid 316L grade stainless steel flanks to the case, but Zeroo Time have made a fully glazed case. Both the front of the case is glazed with sapphire crystal, as is the screw-down exhibition case back. But they've also gone one step further, because the flanks of the case are also glazed. Now I want to explain something. Usually with watches, where they have glazed flanks, the glazing is made from PMA acrylic resin as a cost-cutting measure. However, I'm pleased to report that with Zeroo Timeco, they haven't used the PMMA acrylic resin cost-cutting measure that so many brands do. The flanks of this case are made from high transparency hardened crystal glass, which is significantly more expensive than acrylic. But however, the benefit of using that high transparency hardened crystal glass, as the name suggests, is it is high transparency. It is more see-through, and therefore the movement has better clarity. One can see through it. It also allows more light to enter the movement. So regardless of whether one views the tourbillon movement through the exhibition case back, which is glazed with sapphire crystal, or the front of the watch, because the movement is fully skeletonized, The light coming through the flanks of the glazed flanks means that the movement can be seen from every angle. So that's a notable feature of the T1 and also the T2, the square version of the Archer, is that the flanks are glazed with high transparency hardened crystal glass, and I absolutely love it. It really is absolutely gorgeous to look at. They've also done a nice job of cutting out the lugs, and that also allows more light, and it also allows you to look at the tourbillon through the flanks of the case through the full 360 degrees. As you can see, when I turn it around, you can see through the movements through the bridges. Absolutely gorgeous. So as you can see, the bridges to the double barrel tourbillon movement are fully skeletonized, and we also have skeletonized hands. C3 Luminova dots on the chapter ring, and we also have C3 Luminova on the skeletonized hands. Just an absolute delight to look at. Now, with regards to the case polishing, I want to give due credit to Zeroo Timecode, because this is the kind of case polishing one would expect to see on a high tier piece. And I'm talking about Holy Trinity pieces such as Patek Philippe, Vacheron Constantin, or alternatively Audemars Piguet. It's the kind of case polishing and case finishing one would expect to see on a piece costing in excess of $50,000. So to get this on a piece which is going to retail at only $3,000 within the mid-tier, and on Indiegogo it's only going to be $1,500 in limited numbers, it is absolutely exceptional. Flawless. It's mirror polished on the bezel, the tops of the lugs, the flanks, and also we have the underside is a screw down exhibition case back which has concentric satin finishing to it, which adds contrast, but the underside of the case itself, the underside of the lugs, are polished to a mirror finish. It's just absolutely gorgeous. The finishing is just incredible, and I'm very impressed with it. Now, one thing I really like about this piece is the lack of heft. It is only 68 grams, and that is incredible, bearing in mind it is a 42.4mm case diameter. There's something else that Zeroo Timecode deserve full credit for. They have got the thickness of this watch down to 11.1mm. Often with tourbillon watches, the tourbillon movement has to be thick, and therefore it needs a thick case in order to house the tourbillon. But what I really like about this is they have got it below 13mm. This is only 11.1mm, and that really is very unusual for a tourbillon. With a double barrel tourbillon movement, really I would expect it to be in excess of 13mm. It's nothing unusual for a tourbillon watch to be 13, 14 or even 15mm thick. One rarely sees 11.1mm thick tourbillon movements, and also it's only 68 grams due to the full skeletonization of the bridges of the movement. So I'll give you a wrist shot and you can see how it fits on my 8-inch wrist. Now, as you can see, the 2-button push deployment has a nice positive click to the right hand portion and also the left hand portion. Now, it is a tight fit on my 8-inch wrist. It's a shame that it's not a fraction longer, because therefore that would allow me to engage the end of the calf leather strap into the two keepers. One fixed keeper, one slides as one would expect. But however, for the majority of collectors with a 6 to 7-inch wrist, the calf leather strap with 2-button push deployment will fit to perfection. Absolutely incredible on wrist. I'm sure you'll agree that it's just an absolute delight to look at, and I absolutely love the cutout lugs. And because it has a 21mm lug width, it does a good job of displaying in between the lugs through the high transparency hardened crystal glass, sapphire crystal on the front and the reverse. So it allows plenty of light into the skeletonized bridges and fully illuminates the tourbillon. As you can see, it's rotating at precisely 60 seconds per revolution. Absolutely gorgeous to look at that skeletonized movement, and also the twin barrels. So it's a manual wind tourbillon movement, single tourbillon, and it has an incredible 70-hour power reserve. It runs at 28,800 vibrations per hour and a frequency of 4 Hz, so it's got a nice smooth sweep to the tourbillon running at 4 Hz. Hand winding, but there isn't any hacking, but however there is no second hand. Effectively the tourbillon becomes the second hand complication because it rotates at precisely 60 ticks per minute, so that does become the alternative to the second hand. It's a two-handed movement. Beautiful mirror polishing to the tops of the bezel and also the tops of the lugs, which are cut out fully, as you can see. It's just an absolute delight to look at. It's a very comfortable piece to wear because it is low profile at only 11.1mm, so as an ideal daily wear piece it will easily slip underneath a business shirt if you wear business shirts, and also it feels very comfortable because it's only 68 grams. It actually feels weightless on the wrist. It feels like an invisible piece. So the 2-button push deployment works very well. Good positive clicks to it, good firm resistance to the triggers, and I absolutely love the sapphire crystal in the exhibition case back. As you can see, it just does a very good job of displaying the twin barrel tourbillon movement, as you can see. So I'm very impressed with the quality of the finishing, both the quality of the finishing of the tourbillon movement and also the case itself. Very well executed. I think this watch would be good value at the $3,000 price point, which is the retail price, but at $1,500 it is just incredible. And it really is a credit to Zeroo Time Co. It represents the very best of Japanese watchmaking. It certainly is a level above Chinese made watches. Absolutely gorgeous. Right, so let's do a lume test and we'll see how the C3 Luminova performs when it's charged up to its absolute maximum. So as always, I'm going to use my 100 UV LED torch to charge it up to its absolute peak. Right, so that's now fully charged, and as you can see it has not disappointed. Now it is a fully skeletonized movement. Just bear with me and I'm going to just pull out the crown and move the hour and minute hands apart so you can see them better. Right, so as you can see the hands are skeletonized, and therefore that means there isn't a large area for lume plot to be applied, but however we have dots on the chapter ring which give good orientation, and also the lume is performing satisfactorily on the pointed hands. I would like to see Zeroo Time Co improve upon this C3 Luminova and upgrade to BGW9 Super Luminova, which I feel would further enhance the performance of the lume, but however it is acceptable. This is the one thing I would like to see them change, and I'm going to suggest that they change to BGW9 from C3 Luminova because it is a higher grade of lume. But the lume is performing to an acceptable standard, and bear in mind it is a skeletonized movement. There is no dial, it just has a chapter ring, so really there isn't a great area for them to apply C3 Luminova to. Now with regards to the rest of the specification, it has a push-pull crown which provides an effective hermetic seal to 30 meters of water resistance, as does the screw down exhibition case back. So let's test the crown action. In the closed position it's the manual wind position, and one can manually wind the movement to top it up to its maximum 70 hours, and 70 hours power reserve is very impressive. Pulling out the crown it has one click position, and that is the time setting position. Silky smooth both clockwise and anti-clockwise, there's minimal resistance, it feels very nice to set the time. Now the disadvantage of the double barrel single tourbillon movements is it doesn't hack. As you can see, if you look closely at the tourbillon, it continues to sweep around at 60 seconds per revolution. It doesn't stop dead, it doesn't hack. So that is a consideration, but bear in mind that this is a two-hander movement rather than a three-hander. There's no second hand. The lack of hacking, the lack of being able to set the time precisely to the second really is negated by the fact it has an hour and minute hand rather than three hands. Pushing it back in has a nice positive click, and that reinstates the hermetic seal to 30 meters. Coin edge finish, solid 316L grade stainless steel, and signed with the Zeroo Time Co brand emblem. So the crown works very well, and it is an absolute pleasure to manually wind the movement to its maximum 70-hour power reserve and wind up the tension in the twin barrels. Now, with regards to the warranty, it's covered by a 12-month warranty, and Zeroo Time Co have been making watches in Tokyo, Japan since 2017, so they are a well-established micro brand, so I have every confidence that this tourbillon movement is going to be very reliable and very accurate. So lastly, I'll summarise the piece. What do I think of it overall? Well, when I'm considering reviewing a watch on my channel, the watch should meet two criteria. It should be both excellent quality and excellent value at the respective price points. So the retail price is $3,000, and I think at that price point it is exceptional quality and exceptional value. But at only $1,500 on the Indiegogo campaign in limited numbers, this is just unprecedented quality and unprecedented value. When one wears this watch, one has the feeling of wearing a tourbillon watch, which is a high tier piece costing in excess of $50,000. To get a twin barrel single tourbillon movement and glazed the flanks of the case, fully glazed, not with PMA acrylic resin but with high transparency hardened glass, is just incredible. I think the case polishing, as I've discussed, is high tier level, and throughout the quality of the finishing, even the flawless stitching on the calf leather strap and the 2-button push deployant with pelage finishing, everything about this watch is done to perfection. There is only one thing I would like to see changed, and I would like to see the C3 Luminova upgraded to BGW9 Super Luminova, but however that is a minor criticism because this is a fully skeletonized tourbillon movement with skeletonized hands, and one has to expect these kind of measures because it is difficult to apply lots of lume on skeletonized hands and just dots on the chapter ring. So I'm going to highly recommend it to you for consideration. I think this is an outstanding tourbillon movement. I think the quality of the watch is outstanding and I like everything about it. It's an absolute pleasure to wear, incredibly comfortable piece at only 68 grams. And I think Zeroo Timeco deserve full credit for producing an outstanding T1 The Archer tourbillon watch. So I hope you've liked my review of the Zeroo Timeco T1 tourbillon. Please feel free to post your own comments below the video. Thank you very much.